probably haven't seen by far the most disturbed version of Scooby-Doo. There exists a version of Scooby-Doo that's real, official, that featured body horror, a genetically engineered Scooby, mutating people, death, and the real, actual apocalypse, dude. It is insane. I'm really here to talk about a movie, and also a great place to start talking about a trend in movie reboots and adaptations. Why are there so many movies and shows that seem to hate the very things they're remaking or adapting? Well, the live-action Scooby-Doo movie, yes, this one, is a great example of how to adapt something the right way, but there's also a reason that only one very messed up thing has tried it with Scooby again since then.
This is a victory for any celebrity who wants to make a quality, ecologically friendly action figure.
This movie was not what Warner Brothers wanted at all. Warner set out to make what's called a 4-quadrant movie. That's a movie that appeals to all 4 audience quadrants. It looks like this. Why? Because 4-quadrant movies typically result in both box office appeal and merchandise appeal. But then they hired this guy, James Gunn. Whoops. James Gunn's script has been covered by everyone. You probably know by now. It was wild. Fred and Daphne being extremely confused and tension-filled. Velma being very openly gay and not confused and, well, actually maybe liking Daphne. Jokes about hi Shaggy and Scooby everywhere. And that's just the tip. This was a subversive and dark script, and it was just the beginning.
I'm not gonna lie, the movie terrified me when it came out.
Because filming started and Warner Brothers got real nervous. The MPAA pushed back on the tone and the war between the movie and the studio began. And the studio won some. Romantic subtext was softened, the darker personalities curbed, and many adult jokes reframed. But the good news is, the movie was already so pinned in its identity that beautifully, the studio washing just made it weirder. And that's because Gunn and his team knew what they wanted to do, which was this. This movie is a product of compromise, but it turns out when vision is really specific, it stays. Tone is a tool, not your entire identity, and you can feel the R-rated original cut of the movie in the bones of the final product because it made decisions to support its tone that the studio couldn't change. Like Scooby's CG, it is uncanny, it's strange, and it was always going to give the movie a camp feel. Camp, an aesthetic defined by intentionally exaggerated thematic and genre elements. Camp. And director Raja Gosnell and James Gunn knew that, so they kept everything self-aware. They made constant casting choices so perfect, they stuck for decades to support this camp feel. The studio probably didn't like it because the whiplash between the 4-quadrant goal and, well, jokes about Velma's chest, soul-stealing demons, and cynical commentary on branding and exploitation isn't going to help exploit people, ironically, with toys. But it is the movie's greatest strength. You remember it so vividly because it so firmly and confidently did exactly what it wanted, even if that wasn't what the people with the big bucks making it were expecting from the IP. But that's not what makes it a great Scooby movie. This is.
It's the Spectre!
Now, I know what you're thinking. On the surface, this doesn't seem like Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo is at its best when it's friends facing fears together. But this movie is actually incredibly faithful to the show and that idea. Act 1, Mystery Inc. is broken up. Each member has leaned into their worst traits. Nostalgia hook is set. It flips the setup, sure, to put us on a path to fixing the gang, but just like the show, we learn about our location and meet a potential threat. The island is a perfect thematic trap, artificial, commercialized, mirroring the gang's public image and nostalgic branding. Very meta. Act 2 is classic Scooby-Doo Act 2. The island is a funhouse. We get escalation, red herrings, splitting up, and questioning the legitimacy of the fear. And even though we stray and get real monsters, Act 3 is still Scooby. The mask comes off, adult confesses, and order is restored. All Gunn and Gosnell really did was scale up a Scooby-Doo episode and find places to subvert its logic. That's what adapting a show should do. Perfect. But then there's Scrappy, who perfectly sums up what's wrong with current reboots and adaptations.
Oh, all my friends, all my dog friends hate Scrappy-Doo. We hate him.
We're in the middle of what I call the fix-it movement in Hollywood. Scrappy-Doo kind of predicted this. In 1978, Scooby-Doo's ratings were falling. ABC pressured Hanna-Barbera into doing something to stop the decline. Scrappy was created to save Scoob. He did. Scrappy is the villain here as a meta parody of franchise desperation. A perfect choice right from the canon of Scooby-Doo. A parallel to his creation. See, Scrappy was widely despised by older fans before the movie and even newer fans. And just like he was viewed by those fans, here he's presented as the thing that did or will ruin Scooby-Doo.
Totally ungroovy, Scoob!
As corporate meddling, as money not understanding what makes something good work. He's all of that here. Scooby-Doo 2002 is so good because it understands something simple. Adaptations must come from affection, not embarrassment. Remember this? Scooby-Doo Apocalypse? It still manages to interrogate Scooby's nostalgia and its roots while caring about it. It's worth a read. It's not changing Scooby because it believes it was broken. It's doing so out of love. Gunn and his team approached this movie from a place of affection as fans of the material. They weren't embarrassed by it. They widened Scooby's net. They didn't try to narrow it by shaving it down. They grew it up without being cynical about it.
My opponent is my insecurity.
Almost 3,900 films were released and tracked at the US box office in 2002. And you remember Scooby-Doo, a movie that at the time reviewed poorly, didn't crack the top 10 of the box office totals that year, and spawned a single sequel, dude. And that's because this movie knew something that over 20 years later, the industry still hasn't figured out. Sometimes things worked for a reason. You're rebooting, adapting, remaking because people liked that thing. You can get weird, creative, try new things, but Scooby in the Apocalypse or on an island filled with demons, as long as you're doing it because you loved the material. Not because you think you can do it better. Not everything needs to be fixed. You should be partnering with your original material, not fighting with it. So stop giving the dogs to cat people. Your movies and shows will be a lot better for it.
What's the idea? You can't do this to me! People adore me!
I'm Dewey, and this has been